Imagine going through a traumatic event, having to relive it in front of a room full of people, and then being told that your story is invalid, all because you had a dog sitting next to you. In New York, in 2011, New York lawyer Stephen Levine had a client who was accused of raping and impregnating his 15-year-old daughter. Levine appealed this conviction because Rosie, a golden retriever who had been working with emotionally abused children for years, was used to comfort the daughter during her testimony. Levine argued that dogs can negatively affect witness testimony. He claimed that the stress witnesses feel when they testify at trial tends to undo falsehoods, and that removing the stress deprives the defendants of a fair trial. He also argues that the presence of a dog in the courtroom implies to the jury that the witness is telling the truth, because if someone was giving a false testimony, they wouldn't need to be comforted. Levine's appeal was ultimately denied by the court, but this was the case that first brought into public light the idea of using courthouse dogs. Now, courthouse dogs have been used as far back as 2003, but there is no formal legislation that argues for or against the use of them. But there is legislation in the wings waiting in the House of Representatives to be passed. The proposed Courthouse Dogs Act that I'm arguing for today would clarify that federal courts can allow licensed therapy dogs or certified facility dogs on these premises. Now, I looked into this a lot when I was in AP Government last spring, which is when it was first introduced to the Senate, and it passed, and now it's in the House. And today I will be arguing that it is necessary to pass this legislation and why Levine's claims were wrong. To begin with, I'll be addressing the effects of courthouse dogs on the verdict. Now, dogs relieve stress, and Levine argued that stress is necessary for a truthful testimony. However, taking away an aid from those that need it on the assumption that someone else may be lying trivializes real trauma that people can go through. Now, courthouse dogs are often necessary for traumatic cases like sexual assault or child abuse, which can be extremely damaging for the livelihood and reputation of the defendant, which makes it more tempting for the accused to claim that the other person is lying. According to a meta-analysis paper of false reporting rates published in 2015, the frequency of confirmed false reportings of sexual assault is between 2.1% and 10.3%. So here, the green signifies 2 out of 100, which is 2%, and the red box signifies 10 out of 100, which is 10%. And I bring this up to point out that the percentage of false reports in sexual assault cases is very small, so to claim that someone else is lying based on doing that is a faulty generalization. Furthermore, a study done in 2018 by researchers at Wofford College in South Carolina replicated real court cases with a jury of test subjects to measure the effect dogs could have on perceived witness credibility and final verdict. Lead researcher Dr. Dawn McQuiston, who is pictured here with some of the dogs, reported across 2 studies utilizing mock jury paradigms, we found that, contrary to popular beliefs and our own predictions, courthouse dogs did not exert undue influence on jury decision-making regardless of the severity of the crimes tested, and did not differentially impact perceptions of child witnesses. In summary, the study found that the dogs have no effect on perceived witness credibility, which refutes Levine's claim. The proposed legislation I'm arguing for also clarifies that some restrictions may be given on a case-by-case basis, for example, hiding the dog from jury's view if so necessary. Now, next I'll be addressing the effects of courthouse dogs on all witnesses and people in the courtroom. Now, a person who's about to recount a traumatic testimony to a courthouse full of people is likely to feel state anxiety. And state anxiety is a temporary emotional response involving unpleasant feelings of tension and apprehensive thought. The Department of Psychology and Department of Zoology at Tel Aviv University studied how petting animals can affect a person's anxiety. So in this, participants were exposed to a stressful situation of having contact with a live tarantula, and then randomly assigned to either pet a live bunny, a stuffed animal bunny, a live turtle, a stuffed animal turtle, or nothing, and nothing was a control group. The researchers found that it was petting live animals which reduced their state anxiety substantially, and the effects were universal whether the participant liked or disliked animals, or whether they were petting the soft fur of a bunny or the hard shell of a turtle. Now, additionally, when it comes to how dogs affect witnesses on the stand, a research article written about the culture of silencing child victims in 2015 stated, in addition to the increased comfort and safety experienced typically by the witness, Often, the dog reduces stress and anxiety, enabling the witness to verbalize and process information, including questions, more effectively. The end result is a more effective communication on the stand that aids the judicial process because it results in a more complete testimony. Similarly, in 2012, a study on human-animal interactions found that courthouse dogs are especially helpful for mitigating the effects of the freeze response, in that contact with the dog can almost immediately reduce blood pressure, stress, and anxiety in the child witness. The calming presence of the dog helps soothe the dysregulated brainstem, allow higher executive functions, such as speech and memory processes that have been shut down by disassociation, to go back online. If anything, these studies suggest that therapy dogs allow a more truthful statement from witnesses due to the increased mental benefits that they provide. Now, dogs improve courthouse environments by calming witnesses and improving the morale of all those involved without affecting the final decision from the jury. Arguments against allowing courthouse dogs come down to questions of witness reliability and the assumption that witnesses are lying, which, as we saw, was uncommon. Now, somebody who has gone through trauma shouldn't have to suffer anymore as they try to receive the justice that they deserve. That's why it's imperative to pass the Courthouse Dogs Act. Now, as I said, this bill is currently waiting to be passed in the House of Representatives. And the best way I know how to see the change that you want in the world is by voicing your opinion to the people that can make the change. So if you Google house.gov, find your representative, you'll be taken to a website, if you click the first link, where you can enter in your zip code and find your local congressional district representative. Now, I'm from San Jose, and when I had to contact my congressional representative for my journalism class, she was more than happy and more than welcoming to hear my opinion on the issues that I needed to talk about. So I encourage you all to do the same and to flex your ability to voice your support for this bill by emailing or contacting your congressional district representative and urging them to make the right choice about this bill.